This is the launch of the 2016 Chevy Camaro, the 6th generation Camaro. Now, Chevy went through a lot of plans to try and get this vehicle in the hands of many journalists to cover 48 states. We've covered 5 states, started in Philadelphia yesterday, so went through Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, and now we're headed to North Carolina. So 5 states in about 36 hours. We drew keys, we got lucky, we got the SS, which is the V8. Basically has a Corvette engine, 455 horsepower, 455 pound-feet of torque. 6-speed manual or the new fast shifting 8-speed automatic, which is brilliant. Unfortunately, we've had some pretty bad weather. Our halfway point is Primland Resort. This is really an incredible resort that was built by a very wealthy Swiss family. And it sits here in the Blue Ridge Mountains, and it's been just spectacular. But not as spectacular as the all-new Camaro. They really went to town on this. They made it lighter, they made it more powerful, and they really stiffened up the chassis. Borrowed some parts from the ATS and ATS-V, as well as the CTS. So those vehicles had a lot of high-tech, high-strength steel in them, and now a lot of that technology has been trickled down to the Camaro. It's not cheap. Loaded out SS like this one's gonna run you 48 grand, but in my opinion, just a lot more usable than a Corvette. So come along for the ride. We're not going to do a lot of out-of-car stuff. One thing I do want to point out is this logo here. So this is back from the 70s, the tricolor flag there. I guess when they started working on this vehicle, a lot of the younger designers just started putting that in the bottom corner. And the older designers says, "What are you guys doing?" They said, "I don't know, we just think that resembles or signifies what Camaro should be." And lo and behold, it now appears on the vehicle. Great car, not so great weather. We're going to make the best of it. So despite the weather, we have managed to log in over 600 miles. Had we taken a direct route, would have been about 450. So we certainly took the long way to Raleigh. And a couple of things we noticed. For example, the seats are extremely comfortable. Yes, this is a performance car, and that's what it's meant for, but amazing how comfortable the seats are. So we didn't feel any fatigue. The steering is great. Obviously, this thing makes a great sound. The sport exhaust is tremendous. This is a hell of a car. To go from 0 to 60 in about 4 seconds, a quarter mile, 12.3 seconds. I mean, that is just 0.3 of a second slower than the last gen ZL1. And that was a $60,000, $70,000 car. So at $45,000, this thing's looking like quite the bargain. Again, how'd they do that? Well, better power to rate ratio, a lot of advanced technologies, but not just on the outside. The interior cabin is really quite amazing. We have Apple CarPlay, love it. Mustang doesn't have that yet, but Camaro does, and it's just brilliant. It's very simple, it's very intuitive. This is what every vehicle should have, or Android Auto. Don't want to alienate the other 50% of the market, but either one of those two would just make a lot of sense. The gauges are new, the steering wheel is new, everything has been completely rethought, and this car just has much more of a European feel to it. I gotta tell you, it's really pushing the limits of vehicles like the Audi S5, and dare I say, the BMW M4. Those are brilliant world-class cars. I'm not gonna argue it. The Audi's all-wheel drive, so maybe not a fair comparison, but the M4 is the benchmark for all things high-performance sport coupe, and this is quite a beast. I think Ford's going to have their hands full competing with this vehicle. As far as engine options, you have 3. We're driving the LS1 Corvette engine. It's 6.2 liter V8, as mentioned, 455 horsepower, 455 pound-feet of torque. Then you have a completely new V6, a 3.6 liter V6, and that is going to be probably the high volume engine. But there's an all new base engine, a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, the same one you find in the Cadillac ATS Coupe. So 3 great engine options. When you look at the entry-level Camaro, which is the 2-liter, compared to the last-gen entry-level Camaro, there's almost 400 pounds difference. It's 400 pounds lighter. That's because that motor is being compared to the V6, which was a lot heavier, and the car itself is lighter. Combine those 2 elements, it's almost 400 pounds. 2 transmission options. You have the 6-speed manual, which is great, but you also have this all-new 8-speed automatic, which appeared in the Corvette earlier this year, and that's what we're driving today. And with the various drive modes, you have Tour, Sport, Track, and Snow, Ice. You can customize the lighting. There's lighting, LED lighting being piped around the interior, and you can pair the color of the light to the mode. So if you want sport mode to be green, that's your favorite color, no problem. You want red to be track, you can do that. Another thing about the interior is, like what they've done with the vents, they basically have put the control, so the temperature is actually part of the vent, and the fan speed is part of the vent. They've gotten away from the manual handbrake. There's now electronic brake, and that makes for a lot more room. So the car is extremely roomy. It looks good, it drives great, it's roomy, I think it's priced right. Really very few things to complain about, except of course the typical things you would find with a Camaro. For example, the blind spot. Every Camaro is known for having the worst blind spot in the industry, and this one's no exception. So there's one problem, but that's going to be solved in a few months when they launch a new convertible version, and it's going to be a much improved convertible version. So stay tuned for that. There are going to be a ton of tests. We can argue this back and forth 100 times, but the bottom line is consumers have 2 great options. So if you're a Chevy person, Camaro is definitely your vehicle. Nothing negative to say about the Mustang, but I do think the Camaro is a little bit better. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on The Driver's Seat.